Spray-painted walls like this are a common sight across the GTA, especially in an urban city like Toronto. We walk by markings like this, which we cannot even read, yet most of us are afraid we're entering gang territory. Police tell us that only 5% of graffiti is actually gang-related. Makes sense. I mean, can you imagine a gang member spending his free time in between shootings to graffiti art a wall like this? However, to most people, including business owners, politicians, and community groups, any spray paint on the wall, no matter how artistic, is considered vandalism. Most cities, in fact, have graffiti eradication programming, where walls are painted over, and anyone caught with an illegal spray can ends up in jail. So how is it that a group of known graffiti artists ended up at a recent police gala painting a portrait of Toronto Police Chief Bill Blair?
It's really cool to come and paint him. I haven't actually seen him yet, so I don't know what he's going to think of the painting, but it's really cool.
For these once graffiti artists running from the cops, this night was surreal. Here they were standing in a room filled with the top brass from the Toronto Police, in essence showing off their graffiti art with applause.
I've been working in the community with these young people for some time, and we've done some fabulous artwork in the community to get some messages out and just speak in some silent terms. And tonight we invited them to come to our Crime Stoppers fundraiser dinner so that they could showcase their work. And I think it was a bit of a surprise, but I think they're actually showcasing quite a community builder here tonight, and that's our Chief of Police. And it's really heart-wrenching for me to see them paint, my boss.
Only a few years ago in Toronto, the solution to rid graffiti was to throw these loitering kids in jail.
If you remember when skateboarding first started, it was like almost a crime. They had to make stickers to say skateboarding is not a crime. If you were caught rolling down the street on your skateboard, you'd get busted. And I think that a lot of people fear what they don't understand. So therefore, if you don't understand it, maybe it's involved with crime, but no. This art form, graffiti, you know what? These are your children. These are like kids starting from the age of 13 and going all the way up, kids of the age of like 38. I know kids over 40 that still do graffiti, and yeah, it's a culture. I don't see anything violent with it. It has nothing to do with hookers or drugs, or gangsters or anything like this.
And I think that's like a common misconception that graffiti relates to gangs. I'm from Etobicoke personally. I go to school downtown. I don't really know of any gangs. I've never met graffiti artists that are really associated with gangs or drug dealing or guns or any of that.
Graffiti's not going away. It's seen as a crime. It's not a crime. It's an art form, and where the art form fits within, an infrastructure of a city is where the problem lies.
There's a big misconception out there that all graffiti is gang related, and that's absolutely false. Less than 5% of graffiti is actually gang related. The 95% is actually kids and young adults trying to express themselves for the most part. I try to take those kids, once they've been caught in one way, shape, or form, whether their parents call me or whether their school officials let me know or whether they've been arrested and gone through a court process, they come to my attention. I try to bring them out, to have them go face-to-face with the property owners and do the work. And because they're artistic, maybe they can get an opportunity for a mural.
Coming up.
Scott Mills is one of Toronto's finest. After the break, we'll tell you how he's making a difference in young people's lives and working closely with these street artists to eradicate the stigma that graffiti equals crime and vandalism. Before the break, we told you about a passionate Toronto cop with a mission to work with street artists in eradicating the stigma surrounding graffiti.
Graffiti is often associated to gangs, and in reality, only 5%, even less, is gang graffiti. And the rest of it is really people expressing themselves, often young people expressing themselves.
At a recent Crime Stoppers Gala event honoring Toronto Police Chief Bill Blair, a group of graffiti artists were there and presented the chief with his very own graffiti portrait. A few years earlier, these same artists were spray painting downtown buildings and running from the police. That's when Constable Scott Mills got involved.
And we were finding a lot of kids that were out in the laneway skipping school and, doing minor vandalism. And we found that they were good kids. They just needed to be back in school. So what we did is we started working with the school administration, and instead of handcuffing these youths and putting them into jail, we would bring them back to the school, get them back to where they're supposed to be.
What Scott did then was initiate a community revitalization program, forcing the same kids who were caught vandalizing property to make good in the community. And this wasn't your typical pick up the garbage prisoner work program you'd expect.
This is my neighborhood, and it's Croft Street. I've lived in this area for many years. We absolutely love the art and the whole neighborhood participation, engaging youth in these kind of projects is just fabulous.
What Scott Mills initiated was an opportunity for artists to legally spray graffiti art, which would become murals throughout the city and an outlet for creative expression that these kids were vying for anyway.
This is great actually for any community because it brings out more of the art and takes away the bad things that there could be in that area. You know, it really lets people express themselves.
I came into street art maybe 3 years ago. I've been through the gallery scene and everything like that. I've shown around the world, but I really wanted to have fun, and the street was the definite place to do it.
I think there's a lot of talent with young people, whether it's painting or music or whatever. And the big challenge is they need an outlet. And so having something, and it costs us nothing but paint and a bit of time to have this done on our door. But in order for someone to do that, they need the opportunity. They need someone to step up and say, you know, we don't mind if you paint our door.
Right here in our graffiti alleys, we have people that travel from all about the world, and they will come and take a walk down these graffiti alleys just to take photos beside. If not nurtured, and if the priming buckets come out and we start buffing all this, that right there turns into almost a cat and mouse type of thing where you're gonna see more destruction. You're gonna see the kids that were up, they're gonna come back at nighttime and keep going and yeah, that tends to get ugly. Personally, I like to see our Hall of Fame. I'd like to see that last. I'd like to see that the certain city officials or the cops not give kids such a hard time for wanting to express themselves.
I'm pretty proud of a lot of the youth that have been involved with this. They grow both in their communication skills with their community, so it's beneficial to the youth, but also the community sees that the youths are good people doing good things in their community, and so it's a win-win there. And for the ones that are artists, I've really seen them grow in their artistic abilities, which is really exciting. And I've also seen them, the ones that aren't the artists, a lot of them never painted before. So, you know, they've learned a new skill, which essentially they can take out and potentially get employment for. And that goes for the artists as well. You know, once the artist's work is out here in a laneway, people are seeing it, and other people say, I want to know who that artist is, and they seek them out to do some work where they actually make money for their works.
Graffiti as an art form is definitely recognized worldwide. We need for our own city to recognize it so that our city can be recognized just like how San Fran, Germany, Montreal, Paris, France, Barcelona, Spain, even Brazil, so that we can be one of the forerunners out there for the artistic street art graffiti movement.